Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Syafirah Izwani, and today I will be presenting about Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek, a widely used Islamic financing contract that offers an alternative to conventional hire purchase or mortgage system. Now let's take a look at the definition of the contract. Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek can be directly interpreted as lease that ends with ownership. It is a contract-based Islamic financing arrangement. It involves a transfer of right to use an asset to the lessee for a specified period in exchange for periodic rental payments. In Islamic jurisprudence, it can be defined as a contract that grants usufruct, which is a right to benefits from a property without directly transferring the ownership. What makes Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek unique is that at the end of the lease, the ownership of the asset is transferred to the lessee. This can be done through a sale, either at a nominal price or a market value, or even as a gift based on earlier promise, also known as wa'ad. Now, let's take a look at the key elements or the pillars. There are 4 essential elements in Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek. First, contracting parties, which consists of 2 persons, the lessor or mu'ajir who owns the asset, and the lessee or mustajir who leases and uses the asset. Second, subject matter. The contract must involve a usable benefit or service, not the asset itself. For example, in Islamic car leasing, the bank owns the car but the customer gets the right to use it. Third, offer and acceptance. Both parties must agree to the contract, whether verbally, in writing, or through clear actions. Last but not least, consideration. It refers to what is being exchanged in the contract. In this context, it's the rental payments from the lessee to the lessor. Next, how does it work? Let me briefly walk you through the modus operandi of this contract in Islamic banking. First, the customer will apply to the bank for a leasing facility. Second, the bank purchases the asset such as house or a car from the supplier. Third, an Ijarah contract is signed detailing the lease period and rental payments. Fourth, during the lease, the bank retains ownership while the customer uses the asset. Fifth, at the end of the lease, ownership is transferred to the customer either as a sale or a gift based on unilateral promise or wa'ad. This wa'ad can be made by, first, the lessor promising to sell the asset to the lessee later, or second, by the lessee promising to buy it at the end of the lease. It is important to note that wa'ad is not a full contract. It is a binding promise by one party and it must be fulfilled for the transaction to remain Sharia compliant. Now let's take a look at the related issues. Although this model is based on Islamic principles, several issues have been raised in real-life applications, especially in Malaysia. First, Sharia compliance of the promise, or wa'ad. The promise must be unilateral. If both parties make binding promises, it could be resemble a conventional contract and lead to Sharia non-compliance. If either party fails to fulfill the promise, it may result in illegal and ethical complications. Second, ownership responsibility. Under Ijarah, the lessor must maintain the asset structure while the lessee is responsible for operational upkeep. However, in Malaysia, it is often the customer who bears all the maintenance costs, even major ones. This raises concern because the bank still owns the asset but shifts its responsibilities to the customer. In some opinions, this violates Sharia principles. Now, the importance of the contract. Let's take a look at why this contract is important and widely used in Islamic finance. First, it is Sharia compliance. Most importantly, it helps Muslims fulfill their financial needs while staying true to Islamic teachings, free from riba, uncertainty, and forbidden elements. Second, to meet market demand for ownership. It gives Muslims access to home and vehicle ownership without dealing with interest-bearing loans. Third, impact on economic growth. Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek promotes capital investment and asset development which stimulates economic activities across multiple sectors. And last but not least, ethical and social responsibility. The structure encourages fairness, mutual understanding, and risk sharing, in contrast to exploitative financial practices. To conclude, Ijarah Muntahiyyah Bittamleek is not just a leasing contract. It's a practical, ethical, and religious compliant way for Muslims to achieve long-term asset ownership while promoting financial justice and economic growth. Thank you for listening.